The archive has only one rule. They don't want stories from the living. But sometimes, the dead speak through those who shouldn't listen. In 1987, a librarian named Elias found a collection that wasn't in the catalog. The air grew heavy with the scent of ozone and old paper, as if lightning had struck nearby. When he opened the first volume, his fingers stuck to the cover as if it were coated in dried syrup. The words inside weren't printed or written. They were scars carved deep into the paper, and as he read the first sentence aloud, something in the dark stacks behind him began to whisper back. That was the last time anyone saw Elias alive. But his story is now part of the collection. They seek stories of those who were never born. Narrator. This is Emily. She wrote her story in 1987. The problem is, according to every record, every census, every memory, Emily Carter died of scarlet fever in 1979. The page is turned. Dozens of other photographs. All of people smiling, living, in moments of joy, stare back. A sudden metallic CLUNK echoes from deep within the pipes, like a forgotten tune being disturbed. This is where the world keeps its ghosts, and they are asking with a quiet insistence to be remembered. Rain taps a steady rhythm against a grimy apartment window in Portland. Leo Brennan, a freelance writer specializing in forgotten folklore, sat hunched over his laptop, the glow illuminating his tired, kind eyes amidst a fortress of dusty poems. Muttering to himself, he typed, and the local legends of the Oregon coastal fog remain, to this day, frustratingly unverified. A sudden buzz fractured the quiet. His phone screen flared to life with a text. Aunt Beth, call me when you get this. It's about your dad's stuff. The message triggered a memory. A grainy, sun-dappled home video of a laughing man. His father, David, swinging a young Leo into the air. Leo had a gift for unearthing stories that others ignored. Perhaps that was why the darkness sought him out. The air in the unit was thick, with the scent of damp cardboard and something metallic, like old iron. Every surface felt clammy to the touch, and a faint, rhythmic scratching seemed to emanate from within the walls. In that moment, surrounded by forgotten things, a deep, instinctual fear began to coil in his gut. He opened a dusty crate labeled David's Study, pulling out aged novels and ledgers before his fingers brushed against a small, iron-banded lockbox. It was unnaturally cold to the touch, and there was no key in sight. Inside, beneath some old bonds, lay a creamy vellum envelope. Its address was handwritten in elegant, dark ink. Leo Brennan. Leo opened the envelope. His father's final request. A heavy, tarnished key clinked into his palm, cold to the touch. A slip of paper followed, bearing an address written in shaky script. 23 Obsidian Lane, Balfour, Montana. Beneath it, a note in his father's familiar hand. Leo, some stories aren't meant to be told, but this one, it needs a keeper. Don't let them be forgotten. The words settled like a weight, carrying the scent of secrets and old sorrow. Balfour, Montana existed only in memory, a true ghost town in every sense. Yet the key fit perfectly into the rusted gate of a structure that resembled a forgotten library, built from dark, almost black stone. The air inside carried the scent of ozone and old rot, while a sticky dampness clung to every surface. From deeper within came the sound of faint scratching, like fingernails on stone, and a whispering that seemed to coil through the stillness. The air hung heavy with the scent of ozone, old paper, and a faint sweetness like decaying blooms. Dark wooden shelves towered into an impossible blackness, swallowing the edges of the room. Leo's flashlight beam danced across spines marked only with dates and names. Arthur Finch, 1904? The Duval family, 1932. His voice was barely a whisper, swallowed by the oppressive quiet. Hello? Anyone here? His flashlight beam cut through the oppressive gloom, illuminating a massive central desk. Seated behind it was a woman. Elara, in her 50s, with a severe expression and hair pulled into a painfully tight bun. She didn't look up, her focus entirely consumed by the ancient tome before her. Her voice, when it came, was flat and final, cutting through the thick air. You're David's son. You're late? The second quarter records for 1998 show a disturbing gap in their indexing. A metallic scent of ozone hung in the cold, damp air as Leo's voice trembled. What? He stammered, his words catching in his throat. Who are you? What is this place? The questions echoed into the oppressive stillness, met only by a distant, rhythmic scratching. Elara's eyes finally meet his. Her gaze is paralyzing. The air carries the scent of old paper and something metallic, like cold iron. This is the repository of lacunae, she whispers, the sound barely disturbing the stillness. The archive of the unlived. Your father was a custodian. Now, it seems, you are. She gestures to the endless shelves that stretch into shadow. Elara. Every life conceived but never born. Every path erased by a single choice. A missed train. A sudden change of heart. Every soul that flickered in the might have been. Their stories don't simply disappear. They gather here, cooling in the shadows. They need to be held. Leo. That's impossible. These are just stories. Or so they claim. Elara's thin smile held a different truth. Are they? Open Volume 12C. The Carter Family. In 1979, Leo, drawn by an unseen force, unearthed the volume. He opened it to a page marked by a faded photograph of a young girl named Emily. His eyes traced her handwritten account. A birthday party, a new puppy, her first day of high school in 1987. But the dates didn't line up. Her joyful memories were penned years before she could have lived them. As Leo read, the words felt alarmingly alive, pulsating with a vivid, aching reality. The ambient sounds warped around him. The faint, sweet scent of birthday cake frosting materialized from nowhere. A child's distant, echoing laughter cut through the quiet. A sound that felt both joyful and profoundly wrong. In his peripheral vision, a fleeting blur of a girl in a yellow dress. Leo slammed the book shut. The sound of desperate punctuation in the thick air. Leo. How? Elara. The line between a story and a memory is thinner than you think. Your father understood. He listened to them. Sometimes, he claimed they even whispered back. Over the ensuing days, Leo was pulled deeper into the archive's secrets. His fingers brushed against volumes for people who should have been neighbors, teachers from a life unlived. Then, his breath hitched, finding one marked, Brennan, S. The sister his mother never had.
He never opens it. The air around that shelf hangs perpetually frigid, a pocket of winter in the archive. Then, the climax began with sound.
Late at night, alone, Leo heard it. Not one voice, but a multitude. A whispering chorus, layered, pleading, saturated with a profound sadness. Voices murmured fragments of lost lives. Tell someone I was here. My name was Robert. The sun felt so warm that day. Don't let me fade. Then, one clear, young voice cut through the spectral cacophony. Leo. It was Emily's voice. The phone's screen began to glow with an unnatural, phosphorescent light. The photo was transforming before his eyes. Emily's smile had vanished. Now she stared directly at him, her eyes wide with unmistakable terror. The air grew heavy with the scent of ozone as the image held her petrified gaze. Emily's voice, perfectly synced with her moving lips, whispered through the darkness. He's coming. The one who isn't in any book. The one who erases. Then, total blackness swallowed the archive. The only illumination came from the glowing volumes themselves, their spines now pulsing with a sickly, rhythmic light. Each pulse released the scent of ozone and old rot, while the air grew thick enough to taste. The temperature plunged, and Leo's breath crystallized in the air. At the aisle's terminus, a figure stood, tall, formless, a man-shaped void in the fabric of the world. Where it waited, the light from the book simply withered and died. A scent of old paper and ozone filled the dead air, and a profound stillness locked his limbs. The shelves behind it didn't just go dark. They became empty, as though the stories there had never existed at all. This was the Eroder. It began advancing toward him, its footsteps making no sound. But with each step, the whispering voices warped into screams of static before collapsing into absolute silence. Elara appeared beside Leo, her composure shattered, and whispered urgently, "It's drawn to strong connections. You read them, you felt for them, you've made them real enough to be unmade." Leo. What do I do? Elara. Hold on to a story, anchor it, but not with your mind, with your life. The Eroder was already halfway down the aisle, its presence leaching the warmth from the air. A sharp, metallic scent pricked at Leo's senses as he fought to keep still. His gaze snapped to the worn leather volume labeled Brennan, S. A desperate plan solidifying. Leo's hands trembled as he reached for the sister. That never was, but he couldn't bring himself to touch it. Instead, his fingers closed around Emily Carter's leather-bound journal, pulling it protectively against his chest. The air grew heavy with the scent of aged paper and something metallic, like old blood. His voice shattered the oppressive quiet, raw and desperate. Her name was Emily Carter. She had a golden retriever named Sam. She dreamed of being an astronaut. She was right here. The Eroder halted. Its faceless void seemed to study him. The air grew thick with the scent of ozone and decay. A low, wet scratching sound began from the walls. The pressure became a vacuum, eroding Leo's very identity as memories dissolved. His first bike, his graduation, his father's face. He fought back, pouring every detail from Emily's story into the void, making her real, solid, remembered. The book in his hands glowed with an unearthly intensity, its light pushing back against the encroaching darkness. With a final, silent shriek that manifested as a sudden, sharp pain in Leo's teeth, the Eroder dissipated. The oppressive void vanished, and the lights flickered back to life. The archive fell into a profound stillness, but remained physically intact. Leo collapsed to the floor, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The ancient book still clutched desperately in his hands. Later, Leo sat slumped at the central desk, his body heavy with exhaustion. The scent of old paper and ozone still clung to the air. Elara approached silently, placing a steaming cup of tea before him. The warmth from the porcelain was a stark contrast to the lingering chill in his bones. Her voice was quiet, carrying a weight of finality. You anchored her. She's safe. For now. They all are. Because of you. Leo's voice wavered. My father. Did he? Elara's reply came not as comfort, but as a cold verdict. He fought his own battles, she stated, the words hanging in the damp air. This war is quiet and eternal. We are not archivists, Leo. We are guardians at the edge of oblivion. Leo stared at the key in his palm, then at the endless, silent shelves. A heavy, final understanding settled upon him, thick as grave soil. Final scene. Leo's apartment in Portland. Night. At his desk, Leo wasn't writing about folklore. Instead, he was sketching a building from memory, the dark stone archive. Opening his laptop's webcam, his voice dropped to a low, firm whisper. Leo addressed the camera directly, the air in the room growing heavy with his words. There are places in this world that don't exist on any map, he began, his breath hitching slightly, and there are people in history you will never read about. But what if I told you you could still meet them? He gazes at the photograph as the air grows heavy with the scent of old paper and ozone. What if the most important stories
Are the ones we're told never happened? His breath hitches. A faint, grateful whisper drifts through the stillness, followed by the sticky sensation of dampness on his skin. A faint, knowing smile graced his lips as he spoke to the empty room. Leo, I know.
I remember.
Turning back fully, his eyes now held a profound and terrible secret.
Leo. The archive is real, and it's always accepting new keepers. The question is, are you listening for the stories in the silence? He reaches forward and turns off the camera. The screen goes black, and the final second of darkness. A chorus of whispers, gentle and countless, sighs one word, remember.